Good evening. I will call to order the June 1st City West Bend Licensing Board. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Number 1, Licensing Board regular meeting, May 4th, 2020 at 6:25 p.m. Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful. On to agenda items for consideration. Number 2, applications for an available non-reserve original Class B combination liquor license.
Make a motion to the Common Council to recommend issuing the license to the Open Hog after reviewing the application and the guideline questions.
I think we're on the non-reserve. Are you on 14, Steph?
Oh, am I? I'm sorry. I'm at number 2.
Yeah, but number 14 has the Oak and Log item.
No, that's he also applied for the 10,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Got it. Then I will second that. Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful. Number 3, recommendation to council regarding non-reserve Class B combination license applications.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful. Item number 4, Class A combination license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Item number 5, Class B beer license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 6, Class B combination license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 7, Class B beer, Class C wine license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 8, Reserve Class B combination license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, a few more here. Item number 9, coin and precious metals or stone dealer license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. Item number 10, secondhand jewelry dealer license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Number 11, amusement arcade license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 12, massage establishment license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful. Item number 13, a 6-month beer license renewal for West Bend Athletic Association, Dock Ring Athletic Complex, 2500 Country Creek Circle.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And last item, number 14, original reserve Class B combination license for the Oak and Hog LLC, the Oak and Hog, 111 North Main Street, Unit D.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And with that, I will adjourn the licensing board, and I will call to order the City West Bend Common Council meeting for June 1st. With presentations. Item number 1, oath of office for firefighter paramedic Brent Thiel. And Chief Kuduk, take it away.
Good evening. Tonight we welcome our newest firefighter to the West Bend Fire Department. His name is Brent Thiel. He comes to us from Menasha, Wisconsin. He attended UW Stevens Point, where he earned a bachelor's degree in natural resource management. He was originally a member of the Landon Fire Department, and then currently he was a part-time firefighter on Menominee Falls, Pewaukee, and Germantown Fire Departments. So we stole him away from 3 departments. He completed his recruit training, and he will be assigned to the blue shift. His first shift is tomorrow morning. He'll report. And Brent and his wife, Cassie, live in town of Lisbon with their son, Nolan and Jolene. We welcome them, and tonight Cassie will do the honor of pinning his badge.
Raise your right hand. I, Brent Thiel,
I, Brent Thiel,
having been appointed as firefighter/paramedic in the city of West Bend, Washington County, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting him come.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for that, and thank you for choosing, in my humble opinion, the best fire department in all of Wisconsin, right, guys? Thank you. And with that, I will recess the Common Council meeting.
Okay, I would like to call to order the Board of Public Works. We have 2 items on the agenda. First item is our minutes from our last meeting, May 18th, 2020.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or changes? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, contracts for the 2020 Pavement Maintenance Program. Max, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. This item is to allow us to advertise for bids on 2 contracts for the annual pavement maintenance program. This is something that we've been doing for the past several years. Basically, we have the yearly pavement maintenance program budget, and then we first bid out street reconstruction projects, and after those bids come in, we see what the remaining funds are in the budget, and then we select streets that need maintenance repairs. And this year, we're proposing to include 2 contracts, and one is the crack and joint sealing of pavement at various locations. That's a contract that we do every year for maintenance of our streets that have a better condition rating in order to seal some cracks and prevent water from infiltrated in the road base. And the second contract that we're proposing to do is a resurfacing contract for Schmidt Road between Barton Avenue and Creek Road. Usually for the crack sealing, we typically budget between $50,000 and $60,000 for this contract. And For the second contract, we have a preliminary cost estimate of $434,000. We would use, like I said, the previously budgeted pavement maintenance program fund. And if we obtain permission to bid today, you have a schedule in the memo that plans for construction between August through October.
Any questions for Max? Yes, Alderman.
Max, what's the condition of that road? What's the Paisley ratings on it?
The Paisley rating is a 5 currently, but the issues that we have found out on this road are that the edges are unraveling already. The fog line is disappearing. We had concern expressed by Department of Public Works about that road. We also have some drainage issue near Lac Rowan, I believe. There's a couple of culverts there that need attention that we plan on either replacing or finding out what's wrong with them to allow more water to travel from the north side to the south side of the road and not having that water overtop the road. So those are two of the considerations in the process. We had several streets that were good candidates for the amount of funding that we had left. However, they were also tied to utility repairs where needed. So this road doesn't have any water or sanitary sewer repairs, so we can go ahead and process this contract quicker than if we had to go back and design water and sanitary repairs. We probably would not be able to do it this year yet.
All right.
Anyone else? Okay, I do have a question, Max. Right where that lagoon is up by Lac Lorraine, the water, when there's heavy rains and stuff, are they going to bring that level of the street up a little bit so we don't have flooding? Periodically there is flooding there?
Yes, that's what I was alluding to. We will raise the road profile some, but we will also take a look at those existing culverts, because when I was there after the recent rains, I noticed that we have the water level upstream that tops over the road, but the culverts on the other side, they're flowing, but they're not flowing at full capacity like they should to relieve that water on the north side. So I suspect either some of the culverts are collapsed or obstructed. And so we have planned in the budget to replace those culverts, maybe add another one in order to help the water transfer from one side of the road to the other.
Okay, good, thank you. Yes, Justice.
Is it possible, Max, that the discussion we were having about the end of Roosevelt Avenue, to get that added to the contract at a later date, or is that something that we're committing past right now?
At this time, we would not be able to add that portion. The cost estimate that I have for Roosevelt would be beyond the budget that we have left to accommodate both streets. We would have to do one and the other. And then, as we discussed before, in Roosevelt, there's potentially some utility work where we have sanitary sewer that needs to be relayed and potential issue with the water main. So I'll talk to Travis and Steve and Ruth tomorrow and see, because that Roosevelt Drive is on the 5-year plan, but maybe 4 years down the road. So we'll discuss and see if we can shift priorities and try to address that road a little earlier.
That'd be great. I just want folks to know what we're thinking about.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Being no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn.
Great, so I will order the Finance Committee meeting. We have 3 items on the agenda tonight. First is the approval of the meeting minutes from May 18th.
Motion Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, and then the second item on the agenda is the resolution for approving the transfer of funds for remodeling the front office area, and I believe Jay Shambo is going to speak on that tonight.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This item I've had a chance to chat with you about individually and answer some questions. It's an item that has been around within our organization since the time that we remodeled the police department. It was actually designed at that time and then just not completed due to funding availability. Since then, I think the demand, so three things I would say regarding the, from staff's opinion, why this recommendation is before you and why to do this now are the safe entrance, safe and security through the whole COVID experience. When we were trying to severely limit folks entering our building and during the election time, we put a desk, a station in that hallway right after the second set of double doors. And I personally sat by that desk for some of the shifts, if you will, and staff from lots of different departments helped out. You guys all know that already. We've talked about that to get us through those times. And it was really interesting to engage with folks and to find out why they were coming to City Hall, encourage them to use the drop box if they were in the building and didn't need to be, and then just to assist them on where they were heading. Otherwise, when you first enter our building, it's not very clear as to where to go. And I know that I personally experienced that when the first time I came through the second set of double doors. I won't ask you individually whether that was a concern of yours or not, but so from a welcoming opportunity to engage with a human in a relatively quick fashion after you hit that hallway, Stephanie will have one of her employees sitting behind a tempered glass wall and able to engage with visitors coming to our building and give them direction. I think the safety piece of that is important as well. So in my opinion, it's a safety issue and a welcoming issue. Those are two. You can see who's entering the building right away and discourage folks that don't need to be there, or send them to the county building, because lots of questions, people come and say, hey, where's the PAC? I'm here to see the circuit court. And well, you can address that right up front versus having them wander down into parks or up by engineering before they get that answer. And then the third piece is it really became clear this past election, and I think is exciting from a timing standpoint. If we're able to get this done by the November election, that we expect a ton of in-person absentee voting to take place within the City Hall. Stephanie did a great job, her and her team this year, having that election, that in-person absentee election take place as safe and manageable as possible, but they're naturally disconnected from the lobby that would be right out in front of this new space if they're able to gain it and occupy it. So the plan would be to relocate the clerk's department into this space and then have one employee from the finance department scoot over to where Angel currently sits in the clerk's department. She's the payroll clerk and would be able to interact with employees coming to, she has a lot of traffic, to her station without ever going into the finance department, into the bubbles of the finance department, if you will. If there's any questions, and Stephanie can speak to it as well, she's certainly been a part of the plan. Mark is here to answer any building comments or questions that you might have. Staff recommends moving forward with this remodeling.
When you say tempered glass, is that, that's not like bulletproof?
It is not bulletproof.
Mark Allen has a question.
What is the plan for the use of the current clerk spaces?
So I mentioned one of them, moving the payroll clerk in, or the accounts payable clerk into where Angel is located. Currently within that unremodeled space, we have one of the three offices, they're shelled offices, one of the three offices used for IT storage. So that IT storage would come out of there and would go into where the IT technician currently has his office, so that would become the storage, and then Joe is his name. Joe would move from his current office into where Stephanie is. So he would repurpose Stephanie's office with an IT staff, and then the two IT people would be right next to each other, and their equipment that they currently store in this unfinished space would be right next to them. That would really take care of the bulk of it, but there would be a little bit more space where Megan is now that Carrie was anticipating being used for the auditors. When the auditors are here now, we shift them down into 2067, our conference room, and they'd be able to stay right in the finance department. It'd be another win in that area as well.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks.
And then the last item on the agenda tonight is the resolution to accept donation from the Sunrise Rotary and the West Bend Professional Firefighters Charities. And Chief Kudiak is here to give us information on
Yes,
that.
you have before you a resolution to accept the donation. The donation was from Sunrise Rotary. It actually came through them, or from them, through the West Bend Professional Firefighters. They were looking for a way to help the community with the COVID issue, plus thank the firefighters for their work with all the charities that they do around the city. So this was a great opportunity. We identified the need for one of these, they're an ionization gun that shoots disinfectant spray, and it charges it, so it sticks to tabletops and underneath tabletops and on all the equipment in the ambulances and fire trucks and throughout the station. It's also safe on electronics, which is really a nice thing. So we have one ordered, and this would be the second one, and it's used weekly. So it's a very much appreciated gift.
Thank you. Very generous. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank them for their generosity.
I will.
And with no further items on the agenda, we'll close the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Alderman Kennedy. I will resume the Common Council meeting, and we're on item number 2, Pavement Maintenance Program presentation by City Engineer Max Marischal. Max.
Thank you again. Let me just fire up the computer. Okay.
You've been tested and found wanting.
If you want to make it visible, we can all look away for a minute.
I know what's going on. There we go. There we go. Thank you for this opportunity to allow us to present the City of West Bend Pavement Maintenance Program. So what I'll do is first give an overview of the pavement maintenance in the state of Wisconsin, and then focus on what we do here in West Bend, and then explain what results we've achieved so far and what the outlook is on the future. Some of you may have heard about Whistler, the Wisconsin Information System for Local Roads. So it's a database that the state of Wisconsin developed, and that inventories information about all public roads throughout the state. It also includes a tool that helps forecast future road conditions based on planned repairs. Since 2001, each community in the state of Wisconsin must report the condition of their road into that database. And the state statute is 86.302 parent 2. The information that's included in this database includes dimension of the roads, so the width, the material, whether it's asphalt, concrete, the cross-section configuration, whether it's an urban cross-section or rural cross-section, the average daily traffic count, which we call ADT, and the physical condition of the road. I'll explain that a little later. So the roads are classified in 3 categories: arterial streets, collector streets, and local streets. The arterial streets' primary function is to provide high degree of travel mobility between communities, from an urban area to another urban area or to sub-areas. Local streets, also referred as land access streets, are intended to serve primarily as a means of access to properties, mostly residential properties, but also commercial. And the collector streets are basically the links between those arterial streets and those local streets. So the state has a classification that is shown on this map with the arterials in red and green, the collectors in yellow, and the local in light gray. So that's the DOT functional classification. The city itself has a little bit different classifications. We have other roads that we call collectors because of their function. This classification that you see here is what applies for roads qualifying for federal funding. So when we apply for funding, federal funding, this is the classification that we use. Also, the DOT has online a different database where they keep track of traffic counts. So they go and they do traffic counts throughout the state, and they offer on this website that you can see on the screen counts on the road. So the numbers that you see are for vehicles traveling in both directions. That would be the total of vehicles on average per day on the road. So using Whistler, the database, communities first perform a visual inspection of each segment of road and then assign a rating based on an established methodology and a scale. And that system is called the PASER rating. It's Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating. So that's the method that we've been using for several years and to rate the roads and report in that database. In West Bend, all the public roads are paved with asphalt or concrete. And most of our roads have an urban cross-section, meaning you have the pavement with the travel way and the parking lanes, curb and gutter, a terrace, sidewalk, and then usually a strip of land behind the sidewalk. But we do have some roads with rural cross-section where you have the travel way, a shoulder that may be paved or not paved, maybe some of it paved and then some of it gravel, and then the ditch where most of the stormwater is carried. So the rating of the roads is a scale that goes from 10 to 1, with 10 being a road in excellent condition, and then a different level of condition up to 1, whereas the road failed. The rating is defined on how much distress or deterioration the pavement is showing. So here are some examples. Here we have a picture of road with a rating of 9 or 10, where the road is just newly constructed or has received a recent overlay. On those roads, usually there's no maintenance needed. For a road with a rating of 8, the road is still in very good condition, maybe it's been reconstructed in the past few years or recently received surface treatment. It may show a few cracks, but they're still tight cracks. They are not very wide. With a rating of 7, the road is still in good condition. However, it's showing signs of aging. You can see multiple cracks, but they're still narrow, less than 1/4 of an inch wide. You may have some longitudinal cracks along the paving joints, some transverse cracks across the road, but there would be spaced out 10 feet or more between them, and usually no erosion along the cracks. So that's a road with a rating of 7. A road with a rating of 6 is definitely showing more aging of the pavement. You probably have more transverse cracks, so they might be closer than 10 feet apart, and they become a little wider, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch wide. And then for a road with a rating of 5, the structural condition of the road might still be okay. However, the pavement, the layers that are on the surface, start to unravel, and you may see loss of the aggregate in the road. You have longitudinal cracks that may appear along the edge of the road instead of just at the paving joint. And you may have some sign of erosion along the cracks as well. For a road with a pavement rating of 4, that's when we see cracking in the vehicle wheel path and severe raveling overall, and some raveling along the cracks as well. And we know at that point that something's going on with the road base and it needs structural strengthening. A road with a rating of 3 has more severe cracking and showing even beginning of alligator cracking is what we call, because it looks like kind of a spider web of the alligator skin. And we see pavement distortion. And like I said, more cracks, more raveling of those cracks. A road with a rating of 2 is in very poor condition, where it shows more than 25% alligator cracking and rutting along the wheel path. And finally, a failed railroad has extensive loss of pavement surface, potholes, and severe alligator cracking. So for each level of road deterioration, there's a type of repair. There are guidelines recommending those type of repairs based on the condition rating. So you see the roads that have a condition rating of, I think I moved to the next slide, sorry. So the roads that are, have a PCR of 7 or higher, we do routine maintenance. And then for roads that have between 5 and 8, we do surface treatments, and we do overlay and reconstructions for roads with a pavement condition rating of 6 or 5 or lower. So we estimated the cost of those repairs and maintenance per square yard of road. And based on past contracts, we found that usually preventive maintenance cost us between $9 to $12 per square yard. So with those roads that are in better condition, we need to spend less per square yard to fix them, to preserve their life. The resurfacing repairs cost between $20 to $25 per square yard. And reconstruction usually costs $85 to $95 per square yard. Now those are only road costs. I'm not including utility costs with sewer and water in those estimates. The next slides are pictures of those different treatments. So you see for roads with pavement condition rating of 7 or more, we do crack filling, like I was saying before, to prevent the water intrusion in the road structure. For roads with a pavement condition rating of 5 or 6, we can do a seal coating if the road is in pretty good shape. And then for road with a lower condition, or even with a 5 but at the limit, we would do a replacement of some layers of the pavement. So it could be the top layers with like 2 inches maybe, sometimes 3 inches, where we pulverize the pavement, take it out, and then repave on top to offer the road a longer life. And then for the roads with a pavement condition rating of 1 or 2, that's when we have to do the full reconstruction, where we go into the road base and replace that as well as the pavement. So the process that we follow is based on those principles and also on a road reconstruction priority plan. In 2012, the city created a priority list of streets to be reconstructed and a preliminary schedule to complete those reconstruction. The budget for roads at the time had 2 facets. The first part of it was a yearly line item for pavement maintenance. So those are tasks that are not road reconstruction. So those crack sealing, those surface treatments, etc. And at the time, the council had committed to increase this line item by 4% every year. The second part of the yearly road budget was borrowings or other fundings. Sometimes we would get some grants, but specifically for road reconstruction. So that would vary each year depending on which projects we wanted to address. However, 1 year later, circumstances changed and we had change of policy on spending in order to better address the city's debt service and other obligations. So then the city limited its total yearly borrowing. So we didn't have the borrowing for the street reconstruction. However, the pavement maintenance portion stayed intact. So we still had that pavement maintenance portion with the increase of 4% every year. So from that point on, since we still had that portion of the pavement maintenance program, we used that budget to fund some road reconstruction. So the way we do this is that we look at the budget that we have for the annual PMP, and we start with the 2012 plan, that priority list, and we just go down and start to see if we can address the next street on the list. We also consult with utility projects because if water and sewer want to go to a different road or to one of those roads based on their priority, we like to put our PMP dollars in that same street. The reason for that is that the utility will pay for the road foundation and the pavement above their trench. So if they're paying above their trench for water and for sewer, then that leaves us just a share of the road instead of the entire road that we can put the PMP dollars to and get, I guess, a better bang for our PMP buck in that case. So we take that into account, which sometimes have us deviate for that 2012 priority list. And then once we have all these reconstruction projects in line, we look at the remaining funds that we have for the budget that year. And at that point, we look at those repairs that I was talking about before, which are not reconstruction repairs. So we look at this level of funding. We make sure we don't have any anticipated utilities needs coming up in 3 years, 4 years, to make sure we're not going to open this brand new road again. We get feedback for the Department of Public Works. As I indicated, there are our eyes out there. They monitor the condition of the road. They let us know if there are safety issues that we need to address. And then, of course, we look at the average daily traffic, which come into the decision as well. So pavement condition rating, we rate every road segment, and then we average over the city the number. So you can see here the history since 2007, when we had a little bit of decline in the road condition. Some of it may be explained by the fact that in the late 90s and early 2000, the city experienced a high rate of development that resulted in construction of several new roads. So we were having a lot of roads with a pavement condition rating of 10 that were helping our rating in our average in our database. And then as those roads age, then the PCR, the average PCR, started going down. You can see a boost between 2009 and 2011. We can partially explain this by the fact that the city took advantage of the federal stimulus funding to resurface a long section of roads through 6 projects. And then we kept doing this. When I say doing this, we kept resurfacing roads, we kept fixing roads that cost less per square yard up to 2014. And that's why we see the increase up to 2015. However, after that, you run out of higher rated roads, and now you have to go fix the roads with the lower PCR. And therefore, when you spend $100, you're doing less roads because the cost is more per square yard. And so that's why we see now a decline in our average pavement condition rating. That is something that I had presented to council in June of 2014. I had explained that we anticipated that dip in the pavement condition rating at the time because of that process. So right now, we have developed a 5-year plan for the road maintenance and reconstruction. You can see on this first slide, I split it in 2 slides because I didn't have enough room, but the projects that we're doing this year in 2020, Bittersweet Drive, Green Valley Place, School Place, a lot of those are tied with utilities. 2021, we're planning on 7th Avenue that we're designing right now, and we're also designing Maple Street and Mayor Street. And then we have the addition of Forest Avenue, but in this case, Forest Avenue will mostly be funded by TIF money. So the pavement maintenance program funding will go towards 7th Avenue, Maple Street, and Mayor Street, in addition to a special borrowing that the city is doing for that project next year. And continuing the next 3 years, then after that, 2022, 23, and 24. In 2022, we have 18th Avenue that we're designing right now, and we're doing on the state municipal agreement with the DOT. So we're receiving some federal funding for that one. And then 5th Avenue, which is one of the roads that we're doing in conjunction with utilities, as well as Laurel Drive North. In 2023, Maple Wine Road and Laurel Drive South, again, doing those projects in conjunction with the utilities. And 2024, those projects are all listed as doing in conjunction with the utilities, and like I indicated before, Roosevelt Drive, I'm not sure right now, but I will double check with them. And then, like you had requested, if maybe we can move it up, we'll have to see if we can move one of those down to move that one up. So the current city overall pavement condition rating is 5.74. If no action is taken, the roads will deteriorate, and in 5 years, we calculated that the pavement condition rating will be at 4.74. If The proposed actions are taken as described in the two slides that I showed you before with that 5-year plan. Then after 5 years, we expect that the pavement condition rating would go up to 5.94. And that is it for my presentation. So I will entertain any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. I'll open it up for questions, comments. Alderman Allen.
Yeah, Max, how much of our road stock is rated 5 or less, and how much is rated 3 or less? In other words, what are the roads that are less than 5 and less than 3? In other words, less than 3 is your 2s and your 1s.
I don't have this number with me, unfortunately. I don't have the percentages with me right now.
I'm not looking for a percentage. I'm looking for how many square yards, how much do we need to budget to address really bad roads? And there are a lot of really bad roads that didn't make it anywhere near your list.
Yes, and again, that list follows the priority list that we were given in 2012 and working with the utilities. We did that exercise a couple of years ago when we were going for the referendum with the Long Range Transportation Planning Committee. Jay had asked if we could look at what if we had unlimited amount of money, how much would it take to fix all the roads in West Bend as they are? So we use that Whistler program, and basically you enter your budget in the program and it will determine the type of repairs you need to do with the cost estimate that I published earlier, and then estimate if you have this amount, you can do these many roads. So I believe the total amount to fix every single road in West Bend as of 2017, it was at the end of 2017, was $106 million. So I can take a second look at that and split up below 3 and between 5 and 3, and I can forward those numbers to you at a later time.
Please, and are you able to generate a total square yards by Pacer number?
Yes, yes, we can do
I
that.
would be interested in that as well.
Okay. Let me write this down.
And will you be furnishing the presentation to the older people?
What was that?
Will you be furnishing this presentation?
I can, absolutely, yes.
I would like a copy.
Sure. Would you like the digital version of it?
That's fine.
Yes? Okay.
Anything else, Alderman Allen?
Huh?
Was there anything else?
No.
Okay.
not right now.
Alderman Dolick?
Oh, wait till Max is done.
Thank you. I don't want to forget. Thank you.
And in the interim, now I can't, is it PCR or PRC?
Yes, the pavement condition rating, PCR, yes.
So in 5 years, we might be at 5.9, I think you said.
Yes.
Could you go back to that one slide that showed?
Sure.
All of them, because I wanted to look at something.
This one?
No,
Yeah, 5.9, 4.5. The one slide that showed the ratings going back.
Oh, yes,
Almost
the history
20
of
years.
ratings, yes. This one?
Yeah. So we still won't be where we were. Our best year looked like 2015.
Yes,
So we still won't be back to where we, as good as we were.
not yet, no.
Yeah.
What's our total budget this year?
The budget is around $2 million.
Max, on Alderman Kaler's point, can you kind of give a history of how that funding has changed over the past couple of years?
Yes, so in 2012, I'll go back to that because that's when the first plan was developed. So the pavement maintenance program funding was $750,000. And so beyond that line item, there was proposed borrowing to reconstruct certain roads. So whatever that borrowing was, for this road, $800,000, for that road, $1.2 million, depending on which road we needed to do and what the cost estimate was for that. When the budget changed and there was no more borrowing for the reconstruction, the pavement maintenance program funding still increased 4% every year. So from 750 to 800 something, then 885, 900 something, et cetera, to the point where we reached about $1 million. And then recently, a couple of years ago, I believe, Jay, when there was some debt service that was freed up, the city decided to add an additional $1 million to that first $1 million that we already had. So we were running with a $2 million project budget right now.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions for Max? Alderman Kennedy?
Yeah, I just was wondering, like, what are some other area averages? Do you know, like, Fredonia, Cedarburg, Germantown, what are they kind of at? And is there like a state average that the state kind of wants municipalities to be at?
I'll answer the second question first, if you don't mind, because that's the easiest. I don't believe there is any mandated average by the state. Obviously, I'm sure they want everybody to be on the good side of things, and I think all communities are making that effort to get the best pavement condition rating that they can. So we had a list of communities surrounding us, and we're kind of in the middle. Some of them have a little better. They are around 6. There are a couple that are at 5 or a little lower. I know that some communities that invested heavily, such as Lisbon and forget which the other one is, they were at 7. Fond du Lac is around 6.2, I believe. So in the grand scheme of things, I think that being between 5.5 and 6 is where we're going to find most communities that are comparable or near West Bend, comparable in size or near in location.
I'm just going to jump in. I don't want to.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I know you have the list on.
Up in Fond du Lac is a neighbor and also a comparable size municipality, but theirs is almost a mirror of ours right now. It's 5.7 for 2019.
Okay, so it's lower than I thought. Okay.
Any other comments, questions for Max? Seeing none, thank you, Max, for educating us and bringing us up to speed.
Thank you, and I will provide this information. I'll send it to all of you, what you ask, the presentation as well as the cost estimate for those repairs. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me, and then I'll answer the best of my knowledge. Thank you.
Thanks, Max. All right, we're moving on to approval of the minutes. I believe our city attorney had an amendment we need to make.
So in the 6:30 meeting, we just wanted to update the title, none of the substance, but the title of the resolution for what is currently titled Milwaukee Tool. They just wanted to have that agenda item amended in the minutes and as for the title to reflect the name of the LLC that was actually purchasing the property. So the Schwer, Flicht, and Workzoo Properties LLC. So I just asked that a motion incorporate that amendment so that we can update those.
So moved.
Well, we'll start with item number 3, and then we'll get to that one. So item number 3 is approval of the minutes from Common Council special meeting, May 18th, 5 o'clock.
Motion to approve.
Second? Thank you. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. All right. Now, Justice, we'll take that motion. Got it. Thank you.
He's moving to approve with my proposal.
All right. Thank you. There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Then if I get a motion to consent the agenda consisting of items 5 through 17.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on those items? I'm sorry, Alderman Kaler?
I got a question, Chris.
Sure.
Stephanie, is it still the policy that if there's money owed on an application, that's paid before they get their license?
That is correct.
Okay. Because I noticed there were several where there's water bill or taxes or whatever it may be owed.
That is correct.
Okay.
All outstanding debt to the city has to be paid before the license is issued.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Yep, Alderman Allen, go ahead.
Yes, what's the difference between a reserve and a non-reserve liquor license?
Okay, a reserved license is the $10,000 license. These are licenses that the state said in 1997, according to your population, you can have one of these for every 500 above your regular license. At that time, in 1997, we had 54 regular licenses. And then above that, because right now we're out of regular licenses, you can issue the reserve licenses at a fee of $10,000. And over the years, they considered it like a grant. And at one time, you were able, they paid the $10,000, but you were able to give it back to them like an economic grant. At this time, that is not possible. So when they pay the $10,000, it is revenue towards the city. So, but there are limited things. You cannot sell that license. You cannot transfer it to another property or sell it to another person unless you sell the LLC. And you can also, Ian, what's the other one? There's another benefit to having a regular license before a reserve license.
Well, you can move
So
the
that's
premises. The other big one is moving the premises.
Yeah, transferring the license.
Right.
So we're out of regular licenses. Are there any people that have licenses that are not active, that currently just have a license to hold on to it?
When I came to the city, yes, we did, but at this time we don't. There were people that actually paid for it, but they weren't even really in business. But the skating rink was one of them, and they surrendered their license. So, I mean, there were ones at one time, but right now everybody's pretty much using their license, from what I know. I mean, it's a lot to keep track of.
But I believe, I'd have to double check and make sure we preserved it, but there was a provision in the ordinances that said that if you don't use it for 6 months or something like that, that the city could revoke it. We actually had that, we had one like that. It was just about the time when Amy Reutemann was leaving. We had one that, like in August or so of that year, they hadn't pulled their license in a year plus, and we had them come in, and they assured us they were going to be open, and they did open. So we are, I mean, we do police that as best we can, because non-reserved licenses are very in demand.
Anything else, Alderman Allen?
Not at this time. Thank
Okay.
you.
Then I believe we had a motion and a second on consent agenda. If there's no other question or discussion, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Moving on to agenda items for consideration. First is item number 18, decision regarding non-reserve Class B combination license applications. Be looking for a motion.
Who's this
Thank you.
for?
Staff, they just asked who this is for. For 18?
This is for them 5 applications. This is where the council makes a
Oh, okay.
determination that they want to approve the licensing board with the recommendation of Oak and Hog LLC.
So that would be the only one you're recommending that we,
That's correct. It was based, I made my determination based on reading the guideline, the questions to the guideline questions. Cafe Surette was located at 111 North Main Street, and she surrendered the license, so this license would be going back to that location. So I felt comfortable that it would be fine putting that license back at that premises for parking, surrounding area. And also, there was one other reason that I based my decision on. They already have a $10,000 license for the charcoal grill, has a $10,000 license. The Long Branch also already has a license.
We have a motion.
I'll move
Second.
for the recommendation to Oak and Hog.
Okay. And then just so everybody's on the same page, we're on item number 18, decision regarding non-reserve Class B combination license. Okay. A motion second. Any discussion? Yes, Alderman Dolnick. Yeah, I'm sorry. I called on you.
I just wanted to explain why I'm in agreement with the city clerk's recommendation. Some of the businesses already have their $10,000 license. The reason, as I understand it, they're applying to the non-reserve is that they can then sell it if they choose to later. So it's not related to the welfare of their business. It is kind of just like a business decision. Skinny Vicks, I welcome Skinny Vicks into the community. They do have a beer license or a malt beverage license. They're eligible for a wine license because of their business. Whereas the Oak and Hog, in order to even open, inherently they need to have the liquor license. Because I assume that's what, without that they can't do the bourbon, right?
According to the business plan,
Yeah.
correct.
So that's why I think that if we had to make a selection, the priority would be them in order so they can have the business.
Thank you. Is there any other comments?
Just second what Jen just said. I didn't know if it was the appropriate time to have that conversation, but yeah, you basically took the words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Is there anything else?
Just, are there
On my own. Yep.
any of the people on the list that have requested a non-reserved and could not afford to get a reserved license? In other words, couldn't afford to spend $10,000 to get a license?
I don't know that information.
Anything else?
I just wanted to,
Go
thought of
ahead.
another example for what Alderman Allen was asking before. If you recall, about a year ago, maybe a year and a half, there was a liquor license granted for a proposed establishment over by the Children's, in the cast iron building, over by the Children's Hospital there.
Mm-hmm.
They never opened, and we basically worked with them to have them surrender the reserve license so that it could go back into the pool. So, sorry, I just remembered that one. I wanted to point that out because of we are policing them to make sure these are available as much as possible.
Great. Thank you. Seeing no other discussion or questions, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Next up is item number 19, Merrill appointments to various city boards, committees, and commissions. Should be in your packet, and I'd be looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 20, resolution authorizing the pursuit of a transportation economic assistance grant, and we'll have this start with Jay.
The T-grant application that's before you is to assist with the construction for TID 14, construction of the road, Forge Place is the name of the road that will be constructed yet this year. Max and his team are working on the design of that road. This grant will afford us the opportunity to construct the road outside of the TID funding. So it's some additional funds going into TID 14 and is ultimately part of the whole Milwaukee pool discussion as well.
Alderman Meadow.
Is the reason that we have to authorize the pursuit of such a grant because it may or it will eventually find us as spending money? Is that correct?
Yeah, we spend more money than what the 250,000 of the road costs way more money.
Right, of course, yeah.
I think you're just asking procedurally why. Yeah.
It's a requirement of the grant
Yeah,
to have a council resolution.
Gotcha.
Right.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Wonderful. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful. Next up, item number 21, original reserve Class B combination license for the Oak and Hog LLC, the Oak and Hog, 111 North Main Street, Unit D.
A motion is not needed.
Oh, okay. Did you need any action on this?
Not needed any
Okay. Sounds good. And we'll move on to item number 22, closed session. Entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to state statutes section 19.85, para 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Real estate purchase agreement amendment. Stephanie, motion. Thank you. Stephanie, roll call.
Alderman Butchlick?
Aye.
Alderman Allen?
Aye.
Alderman Berquist?
Aye.
Alderman Taylor?
Aye.
Alderman Dolnick?
Aye.
Alderman Model?
Aye.
Alderman Kennedy? Aye. We are in closed session.
Thank you. We'll be moving to the police department room and then coming back to finish the meeting.
I can't get into that.
square foot.
Yes?
Okay.
Actually, I found that.
All right, we are back in open session and moving on to item number 23, decision regarding amendment to purchase agreement. We be looking.
Motion to approve amendment.
Thank you.
Purchase agreement.
Been a motion to second. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. And we'll move on to reports. Item number 24, a report by Alderman Berquist regarding the library board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On May 19th, the library board met via teleconference with all members present. After approving the agenda, the board approved the election of officers, with only one change being that of the secretary position. The library director provided information, a report, to highlight the library's actions since the part-time COVID information, and the fact that they went from a pickup at the front door April 27th, which allowed some patrons to get back to the building, and it was greatly appreciated by those patrons. The service was finished on May 19th with the fact that the library was opened up for part-time business. With the Supreme Court's decision and in accordance with the Washington Ozaki blueprint for reopening, the library made arrangements to operate on a reduced schedule. That would be Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., with the accommodation of only 150 patrons being allowed at any time. Social distancing policy was put into place, and signage and other things around the library were put in place to maintain the social distancing. Staff was all geared up with shields and masks in public areas, and they limited the access to no meetings or programs in the building. Okay? I've given you a handout that was provided by the library director. It says, "We are open," and that was an important thing because some of the services that the library provided was pickup of materials, independent browsing through the stacks, internet computer use, notary services, copy and fax services, and reference services. Some of the steps the libraries put in place to ensure safety of everybody were employees wearing masks, hand sanitizer being available, limiting of the 150 patrons at any one time, the reference desks and circulation desks having protective shields put in place, furniture being marked at 6 feet distances, and a 72-hour quarantine of any equipment or any property being brought in for check-in. Some of the stuff, information that they asked of patrons was the fact that if you were sick, stay at home, please. Patrons were encouraged to wear masks while in the library, maintain social distancing of 6 feet, independent work. They didn't allow group projects to be done at the library. If you had a cough or a sneeze, use the appropriate controls there, and wash and sanitize hands frequently. And they tried to limit the people's visit to 1 hour at the most. Okay. The library also stated that she was going to continue the summer reading program with a few limitations due to the COVID pandemic. Things that were still in place were virtual programs, story times, take-home activities, reading logs, and prizes were given for accomplishments. She also indicated that an adult program was going to be put in place this year to accommodate those older folks that weren't able to participate in the past. So with that in mind, we adopted the social distancing policy. It was recommended by the State Department of Public Instruction, and we agreed that that was appropriate with some changes based on the fact that we didn't want to establish a policy that was not able to be changed if conditions changed before meetings were being able to be scheduled. So that was passed on a participants there. The next meeting is scheduled for the June 16th here in City Hall because we anticipate a closed session. End of my minutes.
Thank you. Any questions for Alderman Berquist? Go with Alderman Allen first.
Are there any plans to address unaccompanied minors? In other words, kids that just show up and hang out? I realize you're asking people to limit it to an hour a day, but the library is, lacking any large number of camps and rec programs for youth. It's a pretty convenient babysitter.
It is, and that's one of the reasons why the 1 hour limitation. Kids can go and wander the stacks, participate in programs, sit on the computers, things like that. They haven't limited that. The only limitation they really do have is the number of people in the building. And based on some initial counts that they come into with the evaluation of the first week after reopening, they've only had 25 people at times where they haven't come anywhere close to the limit. They've been able to work with the children that they've been having in the facility, so that hasn't really been an issue. If it does, they have the ability to adjust on the fly and make accommodations for that. That was one of the reasons why the policy was actually adopted to adjust to changing conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Dolan.
This part here, the graphic,
Yes.
is this a draft or has this actually been put into use? Do you happen to know?
This is the report of the library director, and remember this happened, we had a meeting on the 19th, the next day the library opened. It was actually with the board's approval that they went to the opening. If the board would have not approved the opening, we probably would have had some issues, but this was her plan in place. She presented it to the board, and the board approved with the limitations.
Thank you. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll move on to item number 25, a report by Alderman Kennedy regarding the Park and Rec Commission meeting.
The Park and Rec meeting happened Thursday, May 28th. I unfortunately was not able to attend, but I do have some cliff notes to share with everybody. The Glacier Hills Master Development Plan was approved unanimously. The bike-friendly group presented that plan. So that will be going forward. We also had an Eagle Scout, Mike Sappenberg, who is going to be doing a bike trail project with his Eagle Scout badge. So he's going to be working to make a bike-friendly trail. So excited to have him doing that. And then we also received some generous donations from the community. First Bank Financial donated for the 2020 movie night in the park, as well as Fleet Farm and Regal Wear both donated for the Dirty Ninja Kids Mud Run. So thanking them for their generous donations.
Thank you. Any questions for Alderman Kennedy? And seeing none, I do want to correct, when I called to order, I forgot to say that everybody was present, but Alderman Hoochester was absent and excused. And I did want to thank the public for those who were able to view and participate in our Memorial Day ceremony last week as well. Are there any other announcements? And seeing none, I'll adjourn by the call of the chair. Thank you.